All right.
All right, Bo, we've gone live now. We're going to give an update on these tariffs.
Yeah.
Um, and
Welcome. Good to see you. How you doing? Doing
oh
good?
yeah, I'm doing
It was
good. How
very good
about
to see you.
you?
Very good. I like to
Yeah.
get the pleasantries out of the way,
All right.
out
Is
of the
that
way. Yeah,
pleasantries?
yeah. It's always good, when you see a
Okay.
friend. How
All
you
right.
doing? Good
Yeah,
to see
yeah,
you.
yeah.
How's the family? Good.
All
Everybody's
is
good.
well. Y'all have a good Mother's Day. Y'all
Yes,
celebrate with
yes,
Mom?
we sure did. We got to celebrate with Mom. We actually went out to eat. We had a good little family gathering, and that's that. Now it's we get to look forward to Father's Day, which we get some love too there. But
Yeah.
it's not about us. It's about the mothers every day, but the
Yeah.
Father's Day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, Bo, last week we were talking about the tariffs, how um, we need to get something done with China, and we
Yeah,
felt like it's going to be down the road.
yeah.
Well, they had their Chinese meeting
They sure did.
over the weekend, and now we went from 140% tariffs to a 90-day pause down to 30% on tariffs, which we were at 20% before. The 30% is a 10% increase, which will cause some prices to go up. If that's going to be our minimum, we can expect to see price increase, but nothing like it's going to be with
Wow.
140.
I mean, I'd say that's a sigh of relief, right? I mean, we've
Well,
at least for 90 days.
I think now we're going to see our shelves have some hiccups because of that period.
Yeah, that period where they
the
did pay
stuff
the
getting in
tariff.
there right now,
Yeah,
that's high,
yeah.
and they didn't ship. Now the stuff has got to get on the water, so we're probably 2 months away from having our shelves back up. And in the next 2 months, we're going to see some products not there that we normally would see.
So
And
those
you're going to see prices that go up some.
those high tariffed items that got caught in between this, they're going to make it to the shelves.
They're going to eat it.
Yeah, I was wondering
if they look at it as a one-time thing, they're not going to increase their price structure over one shipment. They're going to take a beating for 2 or 3 months while they restock that.
Yeah.
But it can hurt some businesses.
Yeah, I've heard some crazy numbers. I mean, if you just do the math on some of sure these shipments, I mean, there's no way to make that type of high percentage small when it comes to money.
I think with this Chinese deal out of the way, or at least some resolution to where we're going to civilly work and not have the nonsense of 140 and 125.
It sounds like what's been taking place over the last week. They've been in Geneva, right? And we've had two parties. His name is He Lifeng, and our spokesman is
Besant.
Yes, there he is. That guy.
All right.
But they've. It seems like that the talks have gone really well, and they came to this, and that. When I read the declaration or whatever, it says that they are continuing this. This is something that's they're hoping can catch on before 90 days, right? I mean, I would hope.
Yeah, there's going to be some work for the next 90 days, the way I hear it. And then at the end of 90 days, we're going to hear a different number. I don't know if it's going to be higher or lower. Nobody knows. Maybe I would like to hear just 0 across the board.
Yeah.
Let's just do business.
Maybe they will do that.
Let's just do business.
So regardless, at the end of the day today, we've got 10% increase than what we were a year ago today.
Listen, if I'm the president of the United States and I'm trying to get this trade imbalance fixed, I'm not going to do just that. I'm going to also try to take care of American people.
Yes.
Okay, you do it two ways. First of all, by trying to keep the prices on the shelf cheaper, because when it goes up, that's just another tax on our pocketbooks.
Mm-hmm.
And those tariffs are taxes that we're having to pay. But if China agrees to take the tariffs off our products coming over there, first of all, for every 3 items we buy from China, they buy one from us.
Very, very small amount.
Okay, it's a third of what we're doing. There's no way we're going to get that imbalance back.
No.
Because we just don't make the magnitude of what they do.
Well, I do feel like that since this has happened and these high percentages have shown, and I think Trump even said that, and there's been other outlets that are saying this, that there are more interest in investment into the United States for these materials, for these big item materials. I mean, but that's going to take years and years to go.
We can't compete, though.
But
that's our problem.
But if we could at least be some way self-sufficient, it seems like right now we don't have hardly.
Well, the problem is our cost of labor.
Yeah,
that's what it gets to. Trump can't go to China and say, you've got to pay your people X, because business there is a free market, but it's not a free market there.
It's a different country.
Okay, it's communism.
Right.
Okay, so if they make $300 or $400 a month, We can't tell them, well, you have to make what we make. Well, it would break their country.
Right.
All right. So a healthy China producing stuff that we need is not bad. It's a good thing. Now, can we make it for the same? There ain't no way we can come close to the same price.
But the problem, I guess, is on a I don't know, moral level, a political level, is the communism part. And you do hear, of some crazy stories over there. And I know that they employ, I guess, child labor. I don't know if they're
I think
it.
that's a myth that honestly would go back to the way we used to work here. Teens. I started working when I was 11, 12 years old, helping my dad. Yeah. Okay, or even younger. That's the type of stuff they've got going on. They're not. It's not nearly as bad as what the media has portrayed it to be. It was, but it's not today because they have so many people wanting jobs, standing in line there.
But what bothers me is that it's still a communist regime there, and I think that's going to make everybody uncomfortable. And
it had made us uncomfortable for 50 years.
As far as trading go, you're right.
It hadn't. And honestly, without those parts, those cheaper parts coming to the United States, there's a lot of companies that do take and assemble and manufacture that use parts from there. They've got to have their costs down so they can make a profit without shooting the price up.
And like we've hit on before, they're not just cheap, cheap materials. They make the good stuff, the
this
really
good stuff.
This microphone
right here is awesome, and it's made in China.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen some good names. I've seen some good American names now, like guitars and such that are made in China. And you look at it and you're like, wait, but no, they make quality there just like they make crap.
I was looking at a distance finder, a golf finder.
Rangefinder.
And I got a sample from them. I was thinking about bringing them and selling them here in the United States. I'd get it for like $60. And they were selling the same stuff. They were making another brand name. If I call it out, you would know what it is. And they're selling for $400 here, and it's like $60 landed. Okay. And I looked at it. I got it. The quality is fantastic on the thing.
No difference.
I mean, you couldn't even tell. I mean, honestly, it felt better than the ones that I always heard was American made, but they weren't. They're Chinese.
Yeah, that's right. If you look close, most things are made in China. Even some part of it.
So step in the right direction. I'm not in panic mode like I was, Bo.
Right.
I see a pause here for 90 days so we can breathe a little easier. Now we're going to see India, Pakistan, which of course they've got their spat going on.
Yeah.
Supposedly there is a ceasefire.
That's what I hear. That's what I'm hearing.
And supposedly Pakistan keeps violating it. But India's
is it a ceasefire if you're violating?
Well, India's media is crazy. I mean, they put stuff out and they're running 24/7 like the place is burning down. And I talked to a guy over there and he just laughed. He said it's fake news. He used Trump's term. It's fake news.
Oh, so now India's getting a dose of that, huh? Well, it's about time. But I know that, so it's a kind of ceasefire. I don't know if there can be a kind of ceasefire.
Well,
you either are.
They're shooting Roman candles at each other.
They're not. They hadn't brought out the nukes.
No, they're shooting Roman candles at each other right now.
We laugh, but this could turn into a bad situation. It could.
What happens is Pakistan. Well, they'll throw some drones over there, knowing India's going to shoot them down.
Yeah.
And then India will throw stuff to them. They know they're going to shoot them down. So it's like a fireworks display.
Just throw away drones. Here, let's just see what they do.
Unfortunately, it all started with some brutal attacks, terrorist attacks that killed a lot of people. Yeah. Unfortunately, it did that. I think the tit for tat's got them square.
Yeah.
They'll probably settle down now. Trump's told them to knock it off.
Yeah, I think that intervention was wisely needed. But I just hope that they can adhere to a ceasefire. When a party doesn't, then that can be bad on a lot of people.
All right. Next topic, we could go in circles.
We could go.
All right. Drugs. Trump says he's going to sign an executive order or has signed an executive order to drastically reduce the cost of drugs in the United States by up to 80%. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that that's a mighty fine idea. I mean, I don't think anybody's against an 80% decrease in anything when it comes to cost. I believe he quoted the year 2000 it was at about that level. It's 80% higher now. He doesn't have a switch that he can flip overnight, but what I do see is there are some unfair competition practices.
My question is, how does an executive order get a company to drastically reduce? It's a free market. Yeah. How does it drastically get them to reduce? Oh, Trump said to reduce it, so we're going to reduce it. They got to make a profit.
I don't know, and I didn't read the executive order, but I believe that it's almost general enough to say something's coming, that we've got to do something, and it's kind of like we're going to do something, but here's the order right now. Look, like I said, there's monopolies, like I was talking about earlier. There are companies that make big time drugs that are the name brand, and they change a molecule, every 10 years when their patent comes up, and then they're reapproved, which eliminates the generic competition. And competition is healthy in a free market.
Well,
but there are other factors besides that. But I think that would help with a lot of things.
there's positives and negatives to this whole thing. I don't think there's anybody sitting out there that doesn't think the drugs cost too much in the United States.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty much, we've all talked about it. Oh, this is ridiculous that,
Yes.
that this cancer treatment costs this, and this family can't pay for that.
Especially the state of the art, the newest, the latest, the greatest, because they're under those patents, and they can charge what they want because they're the only person in the world that makes it, or in the country.
Yeah. So there's that positive side of, if we can lower those to where they're affordable, where most of your insurance companies will pay for
Yes.
the full force and not just a generic or whatever. But on the flip side of that, the drug companies do have to make money so they can do research and development and come out with new cutting edge products, because we want to see medicine and our drug companies moving forward and getting better treatments for cancer, and that
Yes.
the development
Yes.
we want to see. So there's going to have to be a fine line between axing it to where they don't do that versus where they're just gouging everybody.
Yeah, I think at least a limited competition might be the way to go. At least say if there's just one player on the game of a drug that's very popular, if they just let one or two generics out, not just make it a free for all. There has to be some type of limit, because you don't want to curb.
Most of these
innovation.
Generics never come up till like the first patent is over.
Yes, they have to do that.
You're gonna see a 10 or 15-year period.
Yes.
Where their patent is locked in, but they can sell the rights it to somebody. Somebody can buy rights and use it if they want to.
And in the meantime, whenever they're looking at that date when their patent expires, they're looking for all types of safety issues and things where they can extend that. There's so many games that they play, these lawyers in the pharma game, and I've kept up with a few of the cases that have happened in the past. But I do know that competition, at the end of the day, if you could at least get one generic out there, it would bring it down, I think, without eliminating innovation. And I believe, I just don't see where it can go wrong when the consumer wins by a lower product. I don't think it would bring it down by 80%. That seems awful high. I know Trump likes to start, when he negotiates, where he can work down or whatever. But
some of this stuff costs, a nickel for a tablet.
It does.
All
it
right,
does.
And you're paying $30 for a tablet. All right, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Get it down. And then the drug stores, the retail people have to make money too,
yes,
or they can't stay in business. We need our drug stores.
And insurance companies have rendered, they've inflated the prices to where if you don't have insurance and you can negotiate down, because they're so inflated. A cash paying customer can come in there and negotiate down because they know that they're too high. So there's that extra money being made off the top. And like you said, a quarter size, pill at the end of the day, I've heard some, costing thousands of dollars just for one dose. And that just right there is unfair for a lot of people that need those treatments. I believe if it's out there, it should be. But then again, it's the market working. If that's the market working in a healthy market with a little bit of competition, but if there's no competition, then it's just.
Well, a healthy market has competition. That's the thing.
That's right. And that's what I believe. So you're eliminating that currently as it is.
Well, you're not really, because you're assuming that there's. Well, think about this. Let's just XYZ company makes a drug.
Right.
And that drug has a 15-year patent. And ABC company over here says, well, I'm going to make a drug that treats the same thing, but I'm going to do it a different way.
Mm-hmm. Well,
not violating this patent. Doing it a different way.
That's
all right. That's competition.
That is.
And that's good for everybody.
And you hope that there's enough, I guess, creative room there for that.
There's some
the human mind
out there.
Are good. You're right.
Then,
it shouldn't eliminate that type.
Then get AI involved in this.
Oh yeah. It'll take the drug for you.
Oh, it'll reformulate this stuff.
No, I know.
man, it's spooky what this stuff will do.
Oh, the AI is something else. I mean,
All right,
it's
well, let's change gears now. Let's talk about local. Had a big weekend.
big weekend.
Lots of events going on. But something I noticed, and I mentioned this to Josh Friday on the weekend wrap up.
Yeah.
Friday afternoon, I got out at 4:00 and tried to drive across town. We got serious problems, Bo.
We got a problem, and let me tell you, it's everywhere. It's not just in certain areas, but mainly on North Main Street and going out 231. I mean, way past the airport nowadays. It is just it's bumper to bumper almost in some areas. I mean, pulling out of there is dangerous. I waited at the bypass pull out, which because I usually go to Fairfield Pike. I went the wrong way to take a left back into town, and it took me 5 minutes just when I got in the line. And when I actually got there, look, it's getting dangerous and it's getting hard. Our population, I mean, I feel like we're in a small Murfreesboro sometimes. I can't get.
And looking at the population numbers, they're not growing that much, but the little bit that it is growing is affecting our traffic flow at every choke point.
Our traffic flow is not ideal at the moment, and I know that we've got.
You're being nice, Bo. It's terrible.
It is. It's terrible. Well, luckily I'm not in traffic right now because it would be a lot worse.
At times it's terrible.
It is.
I mean, at
it
4
is.
o'clock, I'm always at work at 4 o'clock. And I said, man, it's taking me 20 minutes just to get a mile down the road here.
It is.
Are you kidding
me?
It
is.
It's ridiculous.
And there's a lot of new commercial areas, coffee shops, this and that, and people are packing them in and going in and out. You got to watch. You need to obey the slow, drive slow. Be aware.
Colorado Boulevard. We need to scale it down to 30 because I've tried to pull out there. I go to an establishment every day on Colorado Boulevard, and it's hard getting in and out because people coming around that curve.
They do.
Hauling.
They do.
And you got to pull out like a maniac and run over somebody to just get out in the lane. We need to move this down to 30.
Yeah.
And Madison Street is going to have to chop down to 30.
Yeah.
I hate driving that slow, but when we got stuff going on like we got going on right now, everybody's going to have to back off a little bit and give each other some space and like pay attention to people trying to pull out because it's a disaster, man.
I've been having to do some big city driving here in Shelbyville. And big city driving is when you have to pull out fast and run and go fast. Everybody's moving fast, and we don't need that. And our enforcement's there. I've noticed a lot more of a enforcement our county and local. Our county will set up in the city too. Yeah. So you will get you going. They're looking. So, but
I don't think the county's going to write many violations, but their presence there makes you watch.
It does.
And then you got these signs now that show your speed limit.
Yes.
And that's good to be reminded, but I think people are ignoring all that. I'm just flying.
They are. Really. And what's you could have all the police and there's people drive fast, and I don't know, and unless you put something on their car. I think I'm gonna come up with that. I'm gonna come up with
that's against the law, Bo. That's against the law.
I know it, and that's why it ain't happening. That's why we're always gonna have speed and speed demons, and that's why.
Now, don't give anybody any ideas. They'll try to make it law where they put a throttle on you.
I'm sure they've tried.
Oh yeah,
they've tried it on cows. They tried to put something.
I think the biggest thing, Bo, is at this point, and we've talked about the overpopulation and that type of thing in this area. Population is not growing nearly as much as I thought it was, but it's like every person's got 4 cars or something.
That's it.
I don't know what's going on.
I think every person does have a car, or at least 2, if they're over 16, more than likely. I mean, as you can drive down the roads and see at night when everybody's home. I mean, that's just the way it is. Our roads are small. We are small town USA, Shelbyville, Tennessee, walking horse capital of the world.
We are built for 15,000 people. The way our infrastructure and road, and we got 30 and more coming in, and in the busy times we got probably 40 or 50,000 people packed in here at one time.
And that echoes the statements of our city works guy, of the police and everything. We're working behind all the time, but hey, they're doing a great job. But you got to put your hats off to somebody trying to infrastructurally, if that's a word, grow a city while being used at the same time.
Way behind.
But
because it's going to cost a lot of money, Bo.
It does cost a lot of money, and where is that money? We're getting some state relief. We're getting some grants here and there, but our taxes, taxes don't go down.
Our biggest issue is state roads, though.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, they're going to be paving. I don't know if you heard. They're going to be paving North Main. but just the sheer size of North Main, when you spread out and go to four lanes with a turning lane inside, you're okay. But you look at Massive Street, there's no turning lane until you get out farther, and we're packing these places out just right in the middle of town where everybody's going.
Yeah.
It goes down to 2 lanes on each side without turning lanes in a lot of cases, and then you go out Union Street.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
And that flow?
Oh, no. And that's
we
just
got
2
problems,
lanes.
man.
Well, here's the thing. And this is what happens to other cities, bigger cities, other cities, is they have a city within a city, you know. Like in the northeast corridor of Shelbyville, there'll be a commercial district where not that many people are traveling to the same spot. You have to get them to travel to different spots where it doesn't clog up that time. And that comes from the planning and from the investment from our private people.
40 years ago, nobody saw 40 years down the road.
No, they didn't.
All right. So
that's right. And it's
right
hard.
Now, we need to be looking 40 and 50 years down the road. But we got a problem right now that's got to be addressed. And I don't know what you do.
No, and we are looking, with the tip strategies study that we're doing. That's what that is 50 years down the road and to come up with the plan. And that's what we have to do now. And I think we have to get outside of we have to preserve our little beautiful town of Shelbyville, and build where it needs. But if we can get some areas
I think there's some people that would love to see skyscrapers on the square.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Batman building maybe, but no. I'm good. No, we have to have small where our beautiful courthouse can just be seen because it's
got lights on it now.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going on there.
No,
that's one of my little.
It's a sight at night. We'll say
it's pretty.
Yeah.
All right. So being on the planning commission, how much do y'all talk about this type stuff? Y'all are more about
we're more
real
about
estate development,
and
so forth.
And
but what about the traffic flow? It ties to all that.
It does.
Do y'all have that conversation?
We don't have a grand conversation of the grand scheme of traffic here. We usually when we bring up and we talk about traffic, we're talking about individual applications that are before us, and we are 100% concerned. That is one of our biggest concerns is traffic studies and how's this going to impact and in order to make those decisions we have to, but we do need. And we have with the city council, we've had joint talks, which I just love having those sessions because we can just be candid with each other right there. And it's healthy. I think that we've gotten some action from these conversations, but it needs to be talked about just like we're talking about this right now, because look, it is. I mean, I know that we just kind of throw our hands up and say, well, that's traffic. It's 5 o'clock, get used to it. That's good. That's healthy. But it is something.
I got news for you. It ain't healthy. I almost got hit twice the other day. It's not healthy, Mo.
That's when you get
whoever says that, tell them it ain't healthy.
Accidents are not healthy. Right. You're right. But it's stressful and it causes problems. But that's something that we've got that is a big, constantly evolving issue, and we keep adding things to it, and it's not getting any, any less.
I look at Lynchburg, and it's kind of attractive these days.
Yeah, it is. It is now. Unless they're having some festival there, which it'll be totally shut down then. But no, Lynchburg is quite a quaint little town. I love
Normandy. Might be good too.
Normandy could use
just stay over there. I don't have to have Walmart, man. I can make it without Walmart.
I think we could all need to try to make it a little bit without Walmart.
I can make it without a lot of this stuff going on.
But there's no handy dandy anymore. It'd be great when you could just go to handy dandy. I'd be willing to pay a little more, but we do have Kincaid. So
we got $13 generals too. So
13.
Anyway,
that's right.
13 within 15-mile radius.
Lucky number 13, Dollar General.
All right, so
we love DG.
Tariffs. We got something that's a reprieve.
Yes.
It's going to take the pressure off of our economy, which the stock market really liked that today. Mm-hmm. The deal with the drugs, we're going to keep our eyes on that and see how an executive order can make drugs come down in price. And then traffic. Watch it. Be careful when you're
I've got to be careful.
Everybody out there needs to be careful driving.
They need to drive slow. They need to let their neighbor on the highway pull out in front of them. Just do one good deed on the road. Maybe we can all flow a little better. How about that?
Yeah.
That work?
Yeah. There's some other issues we'll talk about later this week.
Well, we will. Right. We'll be back this week. Right.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Tune in again for a Real Talk later this week, probably on Thursday.
Yes, sir. That sounds good.